Well, hello, friends and neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here, and welcome down to the Whiskey Nook. This will likely be the last episode I'm going to record, not live with you guys, but this will come out almost when I'm getting back from my trip from Ontario. I want to talk today about another batch or cask strength Scotch and full sherry. So earlier on Father's Day, if you were with me, I opened up this Tamdhu, which was a gift from my wife. But now it doesn't look like much, but on cask strength, this is a few drams. So, I've gotten to know this Tamdhu Batch 5 batch strength Scotch a little better. It's full sherry matured. It's 59.8%. And when we come back, I'll give you my little bit more thoughts on this one, and then we'll quickly compare it to Glengoyne and Old Perth since I have them on the shelf. Pour something, maybe something big and bold, and come back. 3, 4. As I was saying, this is a single malt Scotch. The Glengoyne is a single malt Scotch. Old Perth is a blended malt, so it's still all of these are all barley. There's no grain whiskeys in here. They're all malted barley. But Old Perth will use different distilleries when they make up theirs, whereas Glengoyne and Tamdhu are only from Tamdhu or Glengoyne. And Old Perth, I think, is a different strength. These two are 58.9%. And the Glengoyne is the same, but the Old Perth is a little less at 58.6. All right, so Tamdhu. I love that bottle. I've said that I think every time I've reviewed a Tamdhu on the channel. It just is very classy. It feels nice in the hand and it looks just really sharp. I don't know enough about Tamdhu. I believe most of their liquid gets into, is it Cutty Sark, Famous Grouse? I should look it up. But anyways, this of course is their single malt and this is batch 5. This is a deep and rich nose. There are already dark fruits, leathered, plums, fig, but there's a fair amount of spicing for me in here. Rich, well-rounded spices. So you've got a little bit of the light spices like the cinnamons, but you've already got more of that Christmas cake, I don't know what that is, that figgy, thicker, ginger, yeah. Might be a light hint of citrus on the nose too. And then now an edge of, that wet wood, which can come off a little bit like coffee grounds, that kind of thing. So, rich nose and a lot going on. Let's try it on the palate at full strength. Slaja. Very expressive dram. Actually, right away, I got some dark things, some thicker oak, some wet wood, kind of musty wood, not moldy, but just that, rich wood, but then a little bit of coffee, a little bit of chocolate, and then it moved back into fruit. So then I got back into dark, red, green, sultana raisin is better because it's dried, so dried raisin, fig, not quite too chewy, so maybe not so much fig, but yeah, gotta try another little sip. That is so good for me. Now that little bit of citrus on the nose has turned into a really dark old orange, like a blood orange or so you got a little bit of that orange, lots of the Christmas spices and ginger, chocolates, coffee, and then back into those red fruits. Now they're not bright fruits. They're old leather fruits for me. My palate likes old leathered fruits. So this bottle is a real delight for me. This batch 5, I'm not that far into it, but as I said, as a cask strength or batch strength, 59%, that's actually a little bit of a journey already because the pores are either small and more watered. We'll try it with water in a minute. But if I was to give this a star value, I'm going to give it 4.5 for sure. This is just fantastic, full, rich, thick, dark, sherried, spicy, sherried Scotch. Beautiful. So I want to compare it to Glengoyne, another single malt, same strength, I think, 59.8. This is natural color and unchill filtered. This one, I think the Tamdhu might be colored. I don't know that. I wish someone could help me. I know they're both unchill filtered. Let's try this on the nose. Similar palate, a little more graham cracker on that one. In direct comparison, the Tamdhu is darker. Now I got like a thick, dark Bing cherry. This is playing a little more, I got a little bit of honey, little graham crackers coming out. It's still got many of the same, you know, red note, sherry note type stuff. But in comparison, it's lighter than the Tamdhu. On the palate, Sláinte. Also getting some nice light chocolates on that. The fruiting is lighter now. I'm getting that interplay of maraschino cherry. As I said, a little more milk chocolate, more, you know, like a sweeter chocolate. And this is all that cocoa powder type chocolates. So in an earlier comparison, this was the darker one. In this one, this is darker. This is a little brighter, but it still has quite a bit of oak and spice forward nature. And then the fruiting is fairly light and sweet. Like I said, a kind of a honeyed, cherried type experience, where this is really, we're down into that plum leathered raisin type thing. Okay, now to compare it to the Old Perth. Old Perth is a little lighter at 58.6%, so nothing's light up here. And this is that blended malt, all malted barley, but we'll see what we got on the nose here. Certainly in this spectrum, we're moving into a lighter, brighter sherry profile. So now I'm really thinking berries and currants. Yeah, and the spicing has moved far more into cinnamons. Whereas, you know, we start in the full Christmas deal here. Here we're still playing with some ginger and whatnot and darker cinnamon. This is, you know, bright cinnamon, bright fruit, like I think I said raspberry. That still holds for me. Raspberry, currant, that kind of thing. On the palate, Sláinte. And as I said, my friend said, you know, honey, so now I really get that a lot. Very sweet, sugary malt in there as well. Okay, but now the early finish, like I let it kind of express on the tongue, definitely came back with some nice thick spice, some good oak, almost a fresher oak. So less kind of wet wood that I was getting in Tamdhu, or, you know, it's brighter. The whole experience of this one is a little brighter, a little fresher. Let's put water on them all, see if it goes anywhere. We put a little bit of water. This time I did a little less than I did last time I was shooting cask strength, so I really think we're probably in the upper 40s. It's just ballparking, but now we're from kind of 46 to 48. So the Tamdhu with water. It's a certainly more expressive nose, and that's very common. Water tends to open up. Scotch tends to bring out a little more oaks or a little more fruits. This has moved. Now I'm getting even some cut up. What are some other thicker fruits? Some apricot in there. Yeah, almost got a bit of apple. So I'm getting quite a bit more fruit bouquet on the nose with water on the palate. Very similar. Now my palate is, more juicy raisins, more almost like grape now. It's more expressive, it's sweeter. The oaks have backed off, the dark ginger has backed off. The orange is slightly there, but now it is a brighter, lighter orange, right? Like it's not quite sweet enough to be mandarin, but you know, we're moved off that dark, thick, kind of old orange into something a little more expressive. So quite nice. quite nice with water. The Glengoyne with a bit of water. Brighter, lighter cherries again. Now we've really moved into that maraschino cherry. The nose is a little less interesting with water right now on the palate. This has had a different experience, whereas the Tamdhu really brought out some more fruits with water. The Glengoyne is bringing out more oaks, more wet woods, more ginger, more spice profile, a little bit of cracked pepper has come up. So this actually moved towards more of a spicy profile for me with water, whereas that moved more fruit with water. Last one, the Old Perth with some water on it. Ah, that was an interesting nose. Something kind of different, just for a second I thought I got red licorice. What a weird nose. It's settled back down. We're back down into a nice raspberry jam. Sweet. Very sweet. Sweetest of these three. On the palate, it's moved like the Glengoyne for me with water into its oaks and spices. So I think this is different than my last review, and that's why I like to do it live and just share what I'm tasting. Sitting here, these three, they are laid out in my order of preference. Happy to stand behind five, not quite, 4.5, 4.25, and this is 3.75, pushing into 4. You know, when you think of value, it's probably 4, but this is a little bitier and a little high sweetness, high spice when you water it down. It's a little bumpier ride. This is the Tamdhu of these three stands out as the richest of all of them. And in this sitting, it benefited the most for my palate from water. These are all easier to drink with water. They're more relaxed. The alcohol burn clearly has been backed off, and you're probably going to get significantly more flavor, like different flavors with, finding the right water the way you want to have it. But I probably should have done water first. Maybe I should do that in my next review. Anyways, thank you for sitting here through the sherry bombs. I think when I get back, I'm going to stay in Scotch because I got a few open bottles, but I think we're going to move off sherry into just some ex-bourbon. I think I've got a few of those bottles kicking around. I'd like to talk about that. Thanks for joining me. Hope you guys have had a fantastic week. We'll see you on the next one.